That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Lou. Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2. That's
a good movie.
It'd be much more exciting to talk about.
Yeah.
It's a sophomore feature directed by Anna Foerster, which premieres on Netflix September 23rd, 2022.
What's Anna's first film?
Underworld Blood Wars from 2016 of the Underworld franchise.
Interesting.
Which I remember seeing and remember... it's hard for me to differentiate now between those films. My memory between those chapters.
I agreed to watch this movie because I like Allison Janney.
Same, yes.
And it was a thriller, and I'm not accustomed to seeing her in roles like this. Mm-hmm. So I thought it'd be fun. I did not care for this movie. I thought this is I always like to say what I would have preferred. I feel like the better story for this movie would have been something that is like 80% stripped away.
Yeah.
It's so busy.
In the periphery, in the details. Yeah.
Like in the details, that it just took away from what I think could have been a much better story. But anyway.
And the character work required for a film called Lou.
And the title is like, okay. So Allison Janney plays Lou. I'm telling it out of sequence and it's going to ruin the twist. But, okay, so Allison Janney used to be like a CIA agent or something. Like a spy type person. But we can say that till the end. She had a son who, because of her work with the CIA and like him being used like collateral, like blackmail against her, something, she had to like abandon her son. Mm-hmm. Coincidentally, her son became like a special forces type person, but then he went rogue and killed a bunch of civilians. So now the U.S. Marshal's Office is looking for him. On top of that, he's a danger to his wife and child. His wife is played by Jurnee Smollett, mm-hmm. and then he has a little girl.
Hannah and V.
So it's made to seem like he's just crazy. So he's a danger to his wife and daughter. Okay, so Allison Janney, unbeknownst to Jurnee Smollett, like she doesn't know that's her mother-in-law. Lou, Allison Janney, like sort of orchestrates this plan to get Jurnee and the daughter like away from the dad. So she moves her or convinces her like indirectly to move to some island like in the Pacific Northwest.
For cheap rent.
For cheap rent. And we don't really learn anything about Jurnee, like if she works or she just has this like trailer home in like the forest somewhere. And her neighbor is Allison Janney's character. So Lou has been looking out for her daughter-in-law and her granddaughter, but they don't know that. Okay, so one day, like on some rainy day, some gloomy, dark day.
Well, we're meant to be told that's a major storm. El Stormo.
Allison is about to commit suicide. She's about to blow her damn brains out because she receives notice that her son is dead. So she's thinking, my work is done. I don't need to protect my daughter-in-law and granddaughter anymore because the danger is gone. And right as she is about to literally blow her brains out, Jurnee runs into her trailer home and is like, you have to help me. Someone took my daughter. So then Allison Janney's character pops back into CIA mode because she realizes, oh, damn. Like, based on all the clues, my son is responsible.
It's Philip. Well, he's sending these cryptic pictures and postcards. He murders the person that Hannah is currently sleeping with, this white guy in a van.
That's right.
And who's reading On Death and Dying by Kubler-Ross.
Anyway, the bulk of the film is Allison Janney and Jurnee running through the forest trying to find the person who kidnapped the daughter. But Allison knows all the time that it's her son. And then at a point, Allison and Jurnee split up because Allison's kind of like hurt her leg or something, and she bumps into her son. And that's when the audience, this is towards the end of the film.
They purposefully split up because she knows where her son is.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's when to the audience it's revealed that it's mother and son. Mm-hmm. And then we find out his plan. Because we learned that he's like an explosives expert.
Yes.
And he has rigged like a watchtower with explosives. And his plan is to get all four of them in that tower and blow the shit up.
Mm-hmm. It's the action version of Virginia Woolf's To the Lighthouse.
So they all go to the tower because they want to get the girl back. They disarm the bomb, rescue the girl, and then the end of the film is mother and son are fighting. And what I thought was a really cool scene, like in the ocean, kind of. And the son kills the mom. Like he jams like a metal rod in her abdomen. And then the U.S. Marshal's office is in a helicopter and they shoot to kill both of them. So then they're dead in the water. And then the final shot is, because then Jurnee was left like money and a house by Allison's character. So now she's on the ferry going from like the island to the mainland and living her best life. She's happy now that she's free from everything. But then we see that Allison Janney's character is not dead. She's still watching over them. Done.
Yes.
Okay, another plot point I didn't mention is Allison Janney's character. Not only is the U.S. Marshal's office looking for the son, the CIA is looking for Allison Janney's character. They've been tracking her because she has documentation to prove the CIA's involvement in the coup in Iran.
Yeah.
Or a coup in Iran.
Yeah, and the, what was that? What did that happen in 78? Anyway, which immediately that kind of detail is like, oh, that's a more interesting story to me.
Okay, so that could have been a more interesting story. I think the better story would have just been this, mature woman who has a son who she knows is violent. So she, unbeknownst to the daughter-in-law and the granddaughter, because the son is abusive and pretending like his mom is dead, this grandmother, like isolates them, and then it becomes one of those like isolation movies where she's trying to protect them, something like that. Very bare bones. That could have been super effective.
Well, a film that is not bare bones, but also I think does that component of it quite well is Destroyer, directed by Karen Kusama with Nicole Kidman.
With Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, that is if you haven't seen Destroyer, arguably maybe a B movie, but I think really well done and some great character work.
I'm assuming Allison Janney took this role because it was something different for her, and then she does.
It's a lead.
And there is like an action component to it. Like we do see her fighting and running. So I'm sure that was appealing to her. But I don't know. I'm so bored with like, it feels like a Liam Neeson movie where it's like just like so generic. And then of course this person has tactile and military background that explains how they're able to do these things that don't make any sense for a person who looks like this. Like it just was very unsatisfying. Should I just start going through my notes? My first note is Allison deserves better than this.
Sure.
The opening of the film, right before Allison's character is about to blow her brains out, she's like burning paperwork.
Yeah, as in she has kept this evidence that she's pilfered from the CIA because she says she used that to get her son off on some drama he was involved in.
Oh, I didn't mention the story is set in the 80s.
That too, yes. We get
so that's important.
The lovely face of Reagan on a television screen.
It's important because, of course, there are no cell phones. They do have walkie-talkies, and when Allison and Jurnee first go out looking for the daughter, Allison's character is very reluctant to try to use the walkie-talkie, which was very frustrating to me. I didn't fully understand, even by the end, why she was so reluctant.
Because other people can pick up on it. That is how the CIA is tipped off where they are, because Jurnee gets through to Matt Craven playing the sheriff.
Yeah, duh. Okay. Also, something else that was pointed out a few times is that Allison's character's hand is messed up. Like maybe she has like arthritis and she can't move it. I didn't quite understand why that was so emphasized. That her hand is... Because she's still fighting and she's still successful in what she's trying to do. Okay, the guy playing her son, you can't tell me that's not Tom Hardy.
Yeah, well, you say this every time we see him in something. That's Logan Marshall Green. And I'm sure that he is tired of hearing that too. But you've seen him all over Prometheus and that...
He's in Prometheus?
Yeah, he's the one that's
who
married,
looks like Tom Hardy?
And the one that's married to Noomi Rapace. Don't you remember that scene where she's like...
Oh, I thought that character was like a brown person.
Not in the first Prometheus. The first Prometheus. Don't you remember Noomi Rapace being like, I can't give life? He's also in a really...
I've seen Prometheus like 100 times, and I couldn't tell you anything about it. Oh my God.
A truer statement will not be said in this video. He is also in another Karen Kusama reference. I really like The Invitation from 2015. He's the lead in that as well.
Didn't we just review a movie called The Invitation?
We did, and the vampire movie,
Oh.
but didn't bring up the similar title. But yeah, I think he's a decent screen presence. I think that this character is terribly written and he has nothing to do, so he just seems insane. And then the whole...
But not in a fun way.
Not in a fun way, because just like, you know, breaks out crying and is doing weird things with his daughter that he basically is carting around in the rainy woods in like a pet cart. And that girl... V, played by Ridley Bateman, she reminded me of Tina Majorino, that little girl from that Seal movie Andre and Waterworld.
When we learned that Tom Hardy faked his own death, I wrote down, if I could fake my own death, y'all would never hear from me again. I don't know why someone would go through all this to then just try to come. His motivation for why he wants to get his wife and daughter and kill them is so crazy. Like, it just makes no sense.
It makes no sense. And then why you would want to kill all of these women, and when the beef is with mom. And
yeah, it would make sense you'd want to kill your mom, but I mean, it doesn't, but it does. But like, yeah.
But also, like, why do we have to obliterate them at this lighthouse? Like, why can't we...
We get flashbacks of, like, in Allison's character's head of, like, her son being taken.
That's not needed.
But yeah, we don't need that. You already told us. I think... a misstep in the story is that as the audience, we learn everyone's identity, like mom and son, at a point, and then after that we get a scene where it's revealed to Jurnee's character. And I felt like the way it's organized, it just is such a letdown, because I feel like the reveal needed to all happen at once, or it needed to happen to the person who would have the most impact, because mother and son already know their mother and son. So why do the audience need to witness this exchange? The first time we learn this should be when a character who doesn't know finds out.
Right.
Because then when Jurnee finds out and we already know, it's just like, okay, girl. And then I know her from The Great Debaters, and I did like that movie, but I don't think her acting, and I think maybe the ADR is weird.
Who, Jurnee?
Yeah.
Well, she has some terrible lines she has to navigate as well.
I think the acting plus the dialogue plus like this scene, it just, I don't know, I was not satisfied.
I wasn't either. It's unfortunate that we also reviewed Spiderhead recently, which I thought she was kind of underwhelming in. I will say that I like how the film looks, and I like the two major fight sequences with Janney, particularly the last one with Logan Marshall Green.
That's my next note, yeah, that I do like how it looks.
And it was shot by Michael McDonough, who has shot Winter's Bone for Deborah Granick, and Starred Up, starring Jack O'Connell. If you haven't seen Starred Up, I think from like 2013, that is a film I highly recommend about men in prison. But yeah, beyond that, I think it's lacking in a lot of ways. If you're interested, a film that I kept thinking of that it only very barely kind of compares to is something like Andrei Zvyagintsevy's, his Russian film, The Return. I think that was his debut from 2003, about this dad that suddenly comes back and takes the kids on a trip. And
can you think of any movies
a weird fall happens
with any like mature women in like action roles?
As in Sigourney Weaver?
No, except Sigourney Weaver.
I'm sure I'd have to...
Anyway, I think it's worth watching, maybe just to see Allison Janney. I mean, because it is, that would be appealing to me to see an actor like her play Liam Neeson type movies, but they need to be better written than this.
Yes, I agree.
Because I was very frustrated and smirking a lot, but it wasn't a fun experience. It felt tedious. What would you give this movie?
1.5.
I think I really like Allison Janney.
I do too.
But I would give it 1.5. This thing made no sense to me, and it wasn't fun.
I was hoping it would be like, this is going to be a great double feature with another Netflix woman's name film starring Allison Janney called Tallulah from a few years ago.
Oh, God.
Lou and Tallulah.
Anything else?
No.
Hit the thanks button. Listen to our podcast. Bye.